Shalom, and welcome to Qol Elohim. I am Brother Yakiel Yisraeli from Baltimore, Maryland, continuing our current topic, asking the question, Ma Emet, what is truth? We're currently dealing with the passage in Genesis 1:1, so let's reiterate. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashemayim wa et haaretz. Okay. In the beginning, that's Bereshit, created, that is bara, Elohim, which means mighty ones or powers, et, and that is the mystifying term we spoke of when we were last together. Let's make a reference to John chapter 1 and verse 1. Now some people, again, to try to explain away what is stated, they like to run to the commentaries and the opinions of others. But is it possible that through Mashiach Yahusha and through Ruach HaKodesh that Brother Yochanan understood something that was given in the Torah, therefore beginning his epistle on the life and the activities of Mashiach Yahusha with that understanding? Because what Yochanan writes is this. He said, in the beginning, the same time period that Moshe references in Genesis 1:1. He said, in the beginning was the Word. Now what a lot of people don't do, they say, yeah, the Messiah was the Word, this, that, and the other. But what is a word? Now think about it. Now let's use layman's terms. Let's take it back to preschool. See, when we are young kids learning how to speak, of course, when we're at home with our parents, they like to teach us little things, little words to say. But in order for us to say a word, what must first exist? Letters. Now, is that just me? Or, here's the question. Are words formed by putting different letters together? Yes, they are. So now, what Yochanan does is this. He is magnifying the Torah. The Bible talks about that. He is now bringing honor back to the Torah. See? He says, in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. Think about that. What in the world is he talking about? Let's go back. Bereshit, bara, Elohim, et. That mystifying term there. Is it a coincidence that this word is spelled Aleph, which is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and Tav, which is the last letter, of the Hebrew alphabet? Is that a coincidence? Or is it there for a reason? What you find is in the first verse of the Bible, in Genesis, Aleph Tav is the Word. It is a representation of Aleph to Tav. Now let's use the English for example. When we talk to somebody, we want to make sure everything's covered. We say something like from A to Z, everything in between. The thought is from starting with A, ending with Z, and everything in between. Okay, we say that in our language. There's nothing new under the sun. So when we go back to Genesis 1:1 and we see that mystifying term Aleph Tav. Here's the thought. It's the Word that created those things. In the beginning, created mighty ones. Okay? These mighty ones that were created were Aleph through Tav. Who did the creating? Yah Avinu. Okay? Now let's tie that into what we read in John. In the beginning was the Word. See, before the Word existed as an entity in and of itself, it existed within Yah Avinu. So, first thing that had to be done is the Word had to be created and given a separate entity. So here we have, in the beginning was the Word. First, it existed within Yah Avinu. It was there. It was present. And the Word was with God. Now, the Word was brought forth and given a separate entity. And what was this entity? Elohim, mighty ones, Aleph through Tav. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Not only did the Most High, Yah Avinu, and Avinu simply meaning our Father, not only did he create this Word and give it a separate entity, he made that entity equivalent with himself. Now again, don't take Brother Yakiel's word for this. We are just getting started, and we're going to go through the Bible, and we're going to see what the Bible has to say. And if you disagree, guess what, my brothers and sisters? You do not disagree with me. You disagree with the Word. Again, I don't have an interpretation. Well, I know many people, when you hear this, when you see this, well, that's your interpretation. Is it really? If I'm only pointing out scriptures and simply taking the scriptures at face value for what the scriptures say, is it really my interpretation? So we have here two passages dealing with the creation. Okay? Now in John, he says again, in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. All things were made by Him, referring to the Word. And there isn't anything that exists, there isn't anything that created that was not made or created by that Word. What does that teach us? Now let's go back to Genesis, and we're going to tie this up, and then we're going to move on to something else in the next one. Bereshit, in the beginning. Bara, created. In the beginning, created. It's understood that Yah has always existed. There was no beginning. There was no ending to Him. Yah, that name itself means existence. So Yah was always there. So in the beginning, created. Elohim, Et, mighty ones, Aleph through Tav, through which the next term you had, Hashemayim. Elohim, Aleph through Tav, created the heavens. And the term Wa'et. The term Wa, or the letter Wa, it is just like with the Hey, which means the, when it's attached as a prefix, just like the term Bet, which is in or into, when it is attached to a word as a prefix. The letter Wa means and, as a conjunction. And Aleph through Tav created the earth. That's from the first verse in the Bible. In the beginning created mighty ones, Aleph through Tav, the heavens, and Aleph through Tav, the earth. Which corresponds to what Yochanan brings out. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, the Word was God. All things were made by Him, and without Him nothing was made that was made. I'm Brother Yakiel, bidding all of you shalom until next time.